This is Red, White, and Bluegrass.
January 1st was technically the day Kentucky's medical cannabis program came online. So far, more than 8,000 cards have been issued, but there are still no dispensaries open for patients to get that product. Bradley Clark legally represents about 20 of the various licensees in the budding business. He says that right now, there's no urgency to get those doors open because it's just too early. Much of the product is still growing, and that he expects the earliest dispensaries will be open in the fall. But even then, he expects that some patients will be hit with sticker shock.
There's going to be shortages. There's going to be demand is going to outstrip supply at the beginning. Prices are going to be higher than we want to see them in the mature industry, and we're asking for your patience. We're doing the best we can.
Clark says the good news is that prices are likely to drop as more competition enters the market as the program expands, but that will also likely be a while until Kentucky gets there. So Representative Hancock, I want to start with you here. I know you weren't in the legislature when this program was originally passed, but during this most recent session we had this year, was there any sense that there would be this kind of delay?
There wasn't. I think that we're trying to do it as quickly as possible. It is a complicated process to get everything up and going, to get it right. So we just need to ask people to be patient and know that we're doing what we can to make sure that it moves forward as smoothly as possible and to get the benefit to our Kentuckians.
What are you watching for here, Representative Bray?
I'm watching for the auditor's report that's going to be forthcoming, dealing with the lottery process and how those licenses were administered. 36 licenses issued, 33 of them went to out-of-state companies. I've heard from several people pretty disappointed in that. I think if the legislature had known back then that 33 out of 36 were going to be out of state, that it would have had a lot more difficult time passing.
And we had a conversation not too long ago on this program just about the report, and it was interesting. There was a lot of Democrat and Republican agreement where that wasn't the original intent of this program. As we look ahead to 2026, is there any role that the legislature is really going to play in its expansion, or even looking back over the program, or at this point is most of that in the hands of the executive branch under the Office of Medical Cannabis?
I think it's a lot of it's going to depend on the auditor's report. I voted against the bill originally. I've been pretty disappointed in some of the things I've seen already. I'm curious to see how it ends up rolling out going forward.
Again, I think it's a long process. It's complicated. Other states have done it before. We're not reinventing the wheel. And I think the intent behind the lottery system was to prevent what seems to have happened. And when we get those reports, we don't want to slow it down anymore. We need to actually come up with a plan if that is happening, if people were doing and breaking the rules. But my mother suffered from chronic illness. She was chronically in pain and was addicted to pain pill morphine, and was hospitalized for withdrawals. And I always think that if she would still be alive today, would this program have helped her? And the sooner we can get that help for our folks, the sooner I think it'll help all Kentuckians.
Well, I want to mention the sticker shock comment there that Mr. Clark raised, which is ultimately the people that are going to be part of this program and get this, they're going to be paying a lot of money, and they've already paid a lot of money having to visit the various doctors to get the different certifications, cards, and so forth. And again, none of that is covered by insurance. Will that influence any future policy making around this? From y'all's view, is considering this is meant for medical purposes, should it be something that is more affordable or something that should be considered high tier?
The market should dictate the price, right? So in Kentucky, we don't put taxes on any kind of medicine, including medical marijuana. It's a supply and demand economy that we live in, so naturally supply and demand is going to set the price on this. And if kind of like they said, demand exceeds supply, then prices are going to be a little high. But then I think as the program rolls out, I think it'll get to a better spot. But I've never known the legislature to come in on an issue within that it's completely free market like this and dictate any kind of pricing structures.
Okay, last word on this, Representative Hancock.
Yeah, it's just like anything else. You roll out any business that has the hiccups in the beginning, and you just, patience is key here. We've waited a long time to have this option available to our folks, so we just ask them to hold tight, and we'll do what we can to make sure it rolls out in a safe and good environment for our folks.
Alrighty, y'all. Thank you both so much for your insight. We'll be right back.